Okay, so George, and I gotta talk. I gotta say something
Yeah.
for the audience at home.
Oh boy.
Because this is a cry for help. I have never seen you so zippy, so
Yeah.
feisty to get on the mic. Because what
Yeah.
listeners at home cannot see was you were punching the air. You were holding snacks up to the camera.
I got my mixed nuts.
We didn't even get to do our usual banter beforehand. You were
I was ready to roll. I'm ready to roll today.
I'm
ready to roll.
Have a conversation about my feelings, and you were like, you know what else is better? Fiend.
Yeah. No, I was so excited I hit the wrong button. So, there's how that goes. But here's the thing. I'm just excited because it's Friday. It's Friday, and we're talking about cleaning up stuff and organization. And I'm down with this conversation.
I'm afraid.
Be afraid. I'm afraid. Be very afraid.
It's because when I read this prompt, I was like, yeah, you know what? I should pop into the old Happily portal.
Should I let folks at home know what we're talking about?
And go ahead and click on the data quality control panel.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, guess what we're talking about today?
I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
Whoopsie! I do not like what I see. I hit view all property nightmares and now been or view all property insights and now been a fever dream. I hate this.
Look, as a teenager who habitually was like, totally, Dad, I cleaned my room, but he opened the closet like it was a OSHA violation. People were getting hurt. Hard hats were required.
You mean other people did that too? I thought that was just me.
Dude, your teenage daughters are only running because I walked before them.
That's,
My first word was no, George.
Oh,
was a nightmare.
I think that's any kid, to be honest with you.
No, I don't know, it's like mom or dad or something like that.
Or duty. Anyway.
Duty. Speaking of duty, we're talking about dirty stuff today. We're talking about your neglected HubSpot portal. Because let's be honest, kids, for you listening at home, when was the last time you opened up your HubSpot portal and went, man, I know where everything is. I know what final untitled workflow means and who built it. I know what landing page copy, clone. I know what offer that. We're talking about data hygiene.
Job title and title.
Max, by all that is holy, do you have like somebody screaming sound effect? Because in my brain, it's like, yes, right there. Oh my God.
Keep your finger poised on that screen, Max. Do you know what's totally normal? Having 10 John Does in your portal who are all totally named John Doe.
Oh. Do you want to know the one thing that completely like, I giggle and then steam comes out my ear?
And then cry? Yeah.
When I go into a portal that somebody's in for about a year, 2 years. By the way, I seen one that was like 4 years. And I search for Brian Halligan or Maria. And they're
cool robot.
And they're still in there. And nobody deleted default. We're going to put some contacts in there. So they're still in there. And I'm like, are you?
Solve a problem like Maria? You don't, apparently. So this is what we're talking about today, kids. Data hygiene. The thing you think that doesn't harm your results, doesn't harm your bottom line. But we're going to be talking about the real implications of dirty data today. Not just messed up marketing campaigns, not just wasted unproductive hours, but many. And George, this is a topic you are super passionate about. Like, I got to be honest, if people were to hit up sidekickstrategies.com, the number of articles you have published over the past 2 weeks that are like, have you heard about data hygiene? Did you look at data hygiene? Ladies and gentlemen, data hygiene. Do you have some feelings about this, bud?
Yo, we just finished a couple weeks ago our first super admin training. Mm-hmm. And when we talked about data hygiene in that training, well, super admin training, I guess I can show for big sidekick. Is that how that would go? I don't know. So, which by the way, we do have a new super admin training starting September 27th. If you want to go and actually sign up, you can go to sidekickstrategies.com, go into the main navigation under solutions. You'll see super admin training. If you're somebody who has been risen up in your organization and you're taking care of what feels like everything, and you're not sure how to talk to the C-suite or the people beside you or below you, if you're dealing with data hygiene or not dealing with it because it's in your closet, well, you might want to check out the super admin training. Anyway, Liz, thanks for that beautiful segue. But we were doing a super admin training. By the way, last time it was 12 weeks. This time it's 10 weeks, but there's additional content that you get. Okay, I'm going to stop. Ladies and gentlemen. The amount of epiphany moments and crap moments that happened during that session was like mind-boggling. And the amount of clients that we've historically helped in cleaning up their data and showing them ways, like through portal audits, and then like, look at all of this. Like it's like a HubSpot, like, I don't know. It's bad. So yes, Liz, I am passionate about getting people to focus on more regularly the duties, poo-poos, pieces of garbage that people are leaving lay around their HubSpot portals, and helping admins figure out quick ways to visualize and clean up said duties, poo-poos, and garbages.
Maxie said duty.
I'm going to see how many times I can say that in this episode. Just because I feel like it's my duty to say duty. Okay.
What's that line from Family Guy? Hey, Lois, duty. Peter, I'm holding iced tea.
My God.
Yeah. My Lois is in parallel. Hi. Max, after the existential dread you experienced once you realized what we were talking about, and that is a call coming inside from your own house, tell me your feelings about data hygiene. In fact, why do you think people overlook it? You know it's important, and even you were like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's so much that they intentionally overlook it as much as it is that they just don't pay attention. Right.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
You know, and it's also funny how like other other priorities can just get in the way of this, but then you don't realize how much it can slow things down and screw things up. And then you stumble across this list of 877,000 companies that I'm looking right now that came from Built With. And I'm having a heart attack seeing all this stuff in here. Yeah, I mean, the data hygiene stuff, I mean, we talk about it a lot. I don't know how good everybody is at it. Like HubSpot has a lot of these awesome flashy features that should be helping you, but like clearly even someone who eats, drinks, and sleeps and lives HubSpot 24/7 like I do, you know, I'm taking a good hard look at the mirror right now at this portal that I'm in charge of, and I'm very disappointed in myself.
Well, Max, let's dive in there, right?
Well, here's the other thing. The only other thing I'd say about, I think everyone's constantly looking at like, what's the new cool thing that I can build, and the new idea that we have, and the next thing that we can do, the next strategy we can deploy that we can support with HubSpot, and here's this cool stuff that we can build to make it happen. And then you just like keep forgetting about, well, let's get rid of the old shit that doesn't serve us anymore, that isn't working, the old workflows, the old processes, the old lists, the old properties, the old sections on your records, the old this, the old that. And it's just like, man, you don't pay attention to that stuff. It builds up so fast over time that when you start looking at everything, you're just like, wait a minute, I don't know what is still being used, what's not. And then you have this fear of like, well, that obviously looks like it's something that's like old, dead, and gone. But like, what if it isn't? What if it's tied into something and it's like, you know, operating something in the background that I just take for granted that I didn't realize is like tied into this giant web of old shit that I haven't. It's just,
damn, dude, did you even breathe?
Yeah.
Like, did you breathe during that last segment?
Well, look, this topic is bringing up a lot of feelings because, George, you may have noticed I have taken my mic off the stand, which has only happened one time in HubHeroes history.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared right now.
I gotta be honest. I completely agree with you, Max. I completely agree with you. This is something that people are not paying attention to, right? Because we're focused on the shiny objects. We're focused on more important things. But I feel like I'm back at the episode we had about, do you just like pain? Right? When we were talking about not embracing AI as a marketer or a content creator, are you really an artist, or do you just like pain? And it makes me feel I'm having the same reaction to this conversation right out of the gate, because how are we overlooking it? because literally we are like, I was making a joke at the beginning, right? Clone, 15 John Does. Like, we are interacting with obviously dirty data all the time. And for some reason, we consider it the cost of doing business within HubSpot, right? We consider it the cost of doing business without taking a step back and saying, man, let's say on the conservative end, I'm wasting 15 minutes a day, maybe 30, right? That's a few hours each week. That's how many hours each month. That's how many hours each year. Like, this is the kind of death by paper cut situation that continues to pile up and pile up and pile up. So it's weird. I totally agree with you, Max. We will be in the portal, but we will be handling clearly bad, dirty data all the time. And George, why are we ignoring it?
Yeah. So why I answer this, by the way, look at your Riverside settings and change your mic from your iMac microphone built into the actual mic that you moved away with that didn't actually stay with your voice.
But it's on.
No, because when you moved away from the, when you did, you're like, I am about to position myself away from my computer.
Stupid.
No, you're fine. It sounded good still. It sounded good, but it sent me down a road of like, let me go look if that's the mic that actually is like.
It's like, who's going to tell her? Let me hold your hand while I tell you this. All right, I actually have to leave and come back because for some reason it's not allowing me to switch. I'll be right back.
See how. Okay, so wait. Before you leave, Max, do you remember the question?
No.
Oh my gosh,
I'm having a heart attack.
She left
my portal right now.
She left the squirrels alone. Come on, she's supposed to herd the squirrels. Okay. All right. By the way, Noah, don't take this part out because this is just how the show is. So,
are you serious? You have to make me look like an asshole?
No. I mean, I'm just saying because I literally, like, when you left, I go, crap, what was the question? And Max said, I don't know. I'm having a heart attack looking at my portal.
My God, Mom leaves for 5 seconds and you can't keep the show. George, you know what, Noah? Keep this in. Keep this part in.
God, here
so
we
let
go.
me cut this straight. I leave for 5 seconds and the whole show falls apart. I just want everybody to acknowledge this. I may not be able to pick the right mic. Yeah. I may not be able to pick the right mic.
It's the right mic now.
So my question to you, George, Muffin, light of my life.
Yeah.
The question was, why are we willfully turning a blind eye to something we deal with every day? How have we developed dirty data blindness?
I don't think we're willfully doing it, but I do agree with you that it is a blindness. And here's the thing. One, my brain goes to the fact that, listen, I get it. It's not sexy. It's not the shiny new thing. However, like Max said, you're chasing the shiny new thing, but what I want everybody to understand is you're building the shiny new thing on a shitty foundation. Like, the data is your foundation to be able to do all the smart things that you want to do from a sales, marketing, and service perspective. And so not paying attention to that data being clean, paying attention to setting permissions so not everybody can create properties, not putting things in like teams and actually like organizing and having a method to your madness is opening you up for this playground where people can just drop the duty, the garbage, and all the stuff in your portal. And so here's the thing. If you're sitting here listening to this and you want to get rid of this blindness to dirty data in your portal, then here's the thing. You have to come up with systems and processes that focus on letting you know when there is new data or dirty data that should be cleaned up. And you need to create a time frame in which this process actually happens. So for instance, one of the things that we love to do is we love to create cheat sheets or checklists and so literally there's like, here's what you should be checking to see if it's clean daily. Here's what you should be checking to see if it's clean weekly. Here's when you should be diving into your portal to look at this monthly. By the way, every 6 months, you might be able to do a mini portal audit because it's easier to clean every 6 months than it is every 6 years. And so literally start to think about what are the lists and folders that I can create? What are the notifications and permissions that I can set? What's the time frame that I can map this around that I don't be blind to it because I have automated tasks that remind me, or I have list notifications that inform me. Okay.
Max, I need you to hit a buzzer. Do you have a buzzer noise? Does any of you have a buzzer?
Yo.
No. I want a bad buzzer.
What the heck?
All right.
There was nothing bad about that.
Right. But you started giving me a bunch of homework And I don't even know why it's worth for me to do all that work. No, look, I'm just putting myself in the position of the listeners now, right?
Okay,
You're
that's
telling
fine.
me, you're telling me
Lisa, I'm going to explain to you why dirty data sucks, Lisa.
Thank you. That's what I want to know.
Because Lisa, we're now on the Bad People podcast, and Lisa from Sheboygan, because that's where you live.
You're
and
saying
that's who
that
you
name
are.
like a swear word.
And so Lisa from Sheboygan, who's on the Bad People podcast, I have no context to who the heck you really are. I don't know where you really live. So how am I going to communicate with you in the right way at the right time with the marketing and sales efforts? What do you mean I don't know why it's important? Everything crumbles and falls apart if my data is not clean. Everybody wastes more time looking for the ish they need because it's clone, clone, clone. Or God forbid, new workflow, 76895, new workflow, 768. My God, like what? And no folder structure. You have no naming convention, so you can't actually search it. You have 13 cities in your properties.
Actually heard of a horror story once from someone in sales. I won't name the company, where they had a deal that was close to close, over 6 figures, and they sent it
to
email.
Lisa. That's who they sent it to. They sent it to Lisa.
So here's what actually happened, George. They didn't have clean data in the contacts. So for some reason, they had merged the last name and the first name of 2 different people into one contact. And when the personalization tokens triggered, it gave the wrong first name paired with the wrong last name to the wrong person. And the actual contact wrote back and said, I was about to sign my contract in PandaDoc and you have now lost my business. So that is one of my favorite horror stories to tell about why data hygiene is important, because you might be able to sit there and say, like, you're telling me I'm going to save an hour a week and you want me to do 2 to 8 hours worth of work. It's not just lost productivity. It is lost revenue.
Yes.
That's think about it. Can you imagine going to your boss and being like, well, I could have done this daily, weekly, or monthly checklist that would have gotten us that $300,000 contract, but I didn't do it because I needed to be productive. Can you imagine?
Liz, I feel like I need to simplify this a little bit.
Do it.
It's important because you're a human trying to do good things for other humans. And you don't want to mess up the payday for all the other humans in your organization.
I love that. Max?
I just did something.
Was it a duty?
No, I didn't make a duty. I went to ChatGPT and told me to give me some funny names for just like the common junk people leave behind in a portal that has bad hygiene. And
oh my gosh.
Like
integrity
list. The forgotten funnel, right? The sales funnel that nobody remembered. The campaignus interruptus, the marketing campaigns that was started but never finished. The template of doom, the email that was never sent. The phantom pipeline, sales pipeline that mysteriously appeared and never went away.
This is a Halloween article waiting to be written.
Ghosts of leads past, leads that were once important but now just haunt your CRM. Data dump, the place where all the important test data went, important in quotation marks, test data went to die. Deal or no deal, that deal that's been pending since the dawn of time. The invisible CTA, a call to action that was never visible to anybody.
Here's the thing. Somebody's out there listening to this and they're like, oh my God, did ChatGPT look at my portal?
Can I tell you two?
I'm helping Harry, so it gets it.
I got to tell you one other horror story, because you just reminded me of this, Max. There was this one time I was involved with a portal where they had over 400 workflows. And in 2 different instances, the worst case scenario happened at the opposite extremes. The first case, they're like, no, totally, this ambiguously written workflow isn't going to cause any problems. That was a workflow that excluded about 10,000 people from getting automated messages. So then they turned off the workflow, and the next morning, over 10,000 contacts got blasted.
Oh, God.
Then on the other extreme, about 2 weeks later, they're like, no, now we figured this out. We've totally figured out this naming structure that we have no clue about. So they turned off another one. And do you know what happened? it removed the life cycle stages from every contact in the database because it reversed the contact life cycle assignment.
Dude, this is why, speaking of hygiene, like descriptions on workflows are so important, right? But also, this is why they're so bad, because when you're looking at the workflow itself, what do you have to do to actually see that description, right? You're either going back to the workflows page, or you got to like click somewhere on it.
The name.
And, like, go
you
to,
click
like,
the name
tab.
now.
Yeah, click the name to edit it. But it's like, dude, why don't you somehow serve me up that context of what's actually happening with this workflow while my eyes are trying to follow down these branches, wondering if that one little property that's getting set is actually the thing that's stopping 10,000 people from getting emailed when they shouldn't be, right? And it's like they need to add more. They need, you know what they need to do? They need to make a sticky note feature where you can literally just take a note that says, hey, idiot, don't delete this because it does something important, and stamp it right on top of the workflow.
Wait, there's a problem with that, though. I've been in a portal.
Is there a problem with that?
No, because I've been in a portal where I had... No, here's the thing, though. I've been in a portal where more than 10 just literally said, do not touch. And I'm like, well, what do I do? Like, all of them said, do not touch.
But that's different than do not touch. It's like saying, it's like, here's like a little, just like big note that you can't miss next to this one little set property value of something to say, hey, I know this looks like an innocent little value getting changed, but this is doing some really important stuff that you can't see here.
Teacher. Isn't that what the comment feature would be for? Like,
but the comments are hidden. They're hidden.
Well, true.
Secret comment.
Wait,
true.
I gotta hover over every corner of every action to click it and then see it. That is so dumb. The comment feature does nothing unless you're like working on building it. But like, there should be a thing where you can put a big red stamp on it that says, listen, you lunatic, don't change this because it's going to do something really bad.
Can it be nicer? So far, they've been an idiot. They've been a lunatic. How about, dear HubSpot user, please do not touch this button.
Max, we've talked about this offline, and I feel like you're not going to hear me unless I put you on blast publicly. My guy, when are you going to start emoting? When are you going to start telling us how you actually feel about things? I'm feeling very unclear. You're feeling a little diplomatic here.
When HubSpot starts letting me tell people what the friggin' workflow actions are actually doing, that's what I'm...
There you go.
Yeah.
So, George, let me turn to you for a minute. Max, I need you to like find someone
Take
to
a
give
breath.
you a hug a puppy. You'll be okay.
Turn on your Calm app.
George, we've outlined
Sip some tea.
Yeah, have some mixed nuts.
Oh, I got some right here.
I know. It was a callback to the beginning of the show because I'm a good host.
Good job.
George, I know we've talked about some of our biggest horror stories, right? Oh my God, he took it literally and brought the puppy.
Yeah,
this is why you join the live studio audience.
He's chilling.
This is why you join the live studio audience. But we talked about some of the most common things that we've seen, right? Like naming issues with workflows, contact merging, duplicate contact. What are some of the other symptoms that people might be kind of blind to by accident? The most common things that you see that make you go, warning, we have a data hygiene emergency. Other than a puppy licking around. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's funny where my brain goes when you ask me this question, because I feel like there's this secondary level that maybe people miss. So for instance, when I think of data hygiene, I wish I had a live audience, because I'd be like, if you're driving in the car right now, or you're in your office by yourself, when I ask you the question, when I say the words data hygiene, what immediately comes to mind? And I'd be curious what people are shouting out while they're driving down the road or in their office by themselves right now.
Father taking a shower.
Wow. That's probably
Max.
not
I keep hearing Max.
On, man.
Max. I told you this time and again. This isn't therapy.
I've ever said.
Not therapy. It's not therapy.
We're so canceled right now.
When you say data hygiene, I go, man, I stink.
I didn't say dad hygiene. I said data hygiene.
Dada.
So here's the thing. I immediately, and it's funny because I'm just like, I'm super passionate about this because I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of portals get this wrong. I immediately think of personas and the persona property, and the fact that people don't use the description as an I'm a statement. and they don't realize that that actually shows up in the form, and it's a psychological question that actually enables somebody to be like, I'm seen, that's me, let me select that and self-segmentize. But what I just quickly did was give you a second level of something that you should be paying attention to. The amount of people that aren't using those second layer things to then organize or clean things or display or show things in a way that they need to be shown or displayed is like mind-boggling to me. And so you can kind of quickly tell when you're talking to a HubSpot user if they're like surface level HubSpot users, not a bad thing, by the way, versus somebody who is paying attention to like the deepness, the secondary and tertiary levels that one could go.
The word you're looking for is depth.
Depth. Yeah, that's great. That's a good word. So like I have a super admin person who went through the training. Again, not shilling for a big sidekick here. I'm just saying, and I immediately knew, wow, this person gets it. Because they were doing something where they were daisy chaining presets, permissions, teams, and record customization together. Not only display what people needed to see when they needed to see it, but to understand what didn't need to be there and could be cleaned up and removed at such a granular level. I was like, how from this day forward, hence, by the way, we're doing a podcast on data hygiene, and you mentioned that I've done several articles. How from this day forward do I get more HubSpot users to focus on this right here than where we've landed and most people are living?
You know, it just made me think of. So my brother's a
dad hygiene,
like a yeah,
deepness.
I was thinking about my brother's a chef, right? He works in like really fancy restaurants. He's like a very, very good chef. And something that he told me, he's like the kind of like test that they give cooks, and I don't know if this is like a Gordon Ramsay thing or if it's like a more common thing, but the way that they'd like interview people is the first thing they'd have them do is basically say, make scrambled eggs. Right.
Oh.
And they look at the technique in which they make scrambled eggs. And just from that, you can like really tell like if someone actually knows what they're doing or not.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like the scrambled egg test for a HubSpot admin should be go make a form that asks what someone's favorite color is, and then make me a report and show that on a contact of what everyone's favorite color is, right? Because where you're going to weed out the good ones from the bad ones is that the bad ones are going to go create a form, and then they're going to create the property in a full sentence that says, what's your favorite color ? Instead of calling it favorite color and just changing the label, right?
Yep.
Those folks that think, wait a minute,
well,
I need this to be easy for someone to find. I need this to be easy to to look good showing up in a record, right? And not just be in the form of a question where it gets concatenated and I can't tell exactly what the property is, right? Those people are thinking on a much different level than someone who just is going in there willy-nilly making properties full sentence questions.
I'm going to double down on what you're talking about, because now what you could also do to add to that test is tell them, and by the way, we want to be able to actually have a different shades of yellow, different shades of blue, and a different shades of red page where we're asking those, and go see how many create a red property, a blue property, and a yellow property, versus realizing they could create one favorite color property, have all of the different shades in that property, and when they create the form, remove the yellow, remove the red, and remove the blue, but still only reporting on one property instead of needing to create three. That's how you create some real great scrambled eggs with properties and HubSpot.
I don't even know what you just said, but
yeah. So there's a feature in HubSpot Forms where you can have a whole list of stuff and decide you only want to show certain parts of that property on that form, right? Yeah. So now, because again, I've seen this where they'll be like, oh, I need a red version and a blue version and a purple version. No. You need one property that holds all of your colors. And now you can separate it based on the form and what you actually want to ask in that. Because what have you just done? You've made reporting way easier. Instead of having to report off of 3 properties, you're reporting off of 1 property, but you've used it in 3 different places in 3 different ways. Now that's some scrambled eggs right there. I'm just saying.
I also remain pro egg. So, question.
Although, scrambled or sunny side up?
Oh, scrambled, 100%.
With cheese or without?
No cheese. No cheese.
Little goat
if I
cheese
do-
on top.
Eggs.
Little goat cheese on top.
See,
No,
if I
no,
do
here,
scrambled eggs,
all right. You want me to put you on to the best eggs you'll ever have in your entire life?
easy
Here's
there.
how you do it.
Easy there.
No. Chill. This is how you do it, right? And this is me testing this like you have no idea. Okay, a little sidebar. All right, I am a scrambled eggs connoisseur. I can do them how Gordon does it. I can do the whole, you mix them for the entire time, all that stuff. The best way that I've found to make scrambled eggs lately is this, right? And for you,
listen up,
cheese lovers,
everybody.
you'll appreciate it. Okay, is what you do: 4 eggs in a bowl. You take a big pinch of kosher salt. You scramble the shit out of them. All right, and then you get your pan on medium low. You put butter in the pan. You get it all around the pan, right? And then it's very important that you have a rubber spatula. A rubber spatula that bends to the curvature of the pan. If you can get yourself a hex-clad pan, which maybe one day they'll sponsor the podcast, if you can try to get that, right? And then all you're doing the entire time is you're just making sure the eggs don't stick to the pan. Just move them around. And as soon as they're like juicy and finally like in a clump, right? And they look like scrambled eggs, you can't overcook them, right? You take them out, you put them into a bowl. This is what you do. You go take out a little bit of Boursin. The Boursin herb cheese? You know what I'm talking about? You ever have Boursin?
Yeah, it comes like a little hockey
Boursin?
puck. It's super creamy and
It comes like a little
delicious.
hockey puck. Yeah, that's what you do. You take a big scoop of that, you drop it in your hot, loosely scrambled eggs, and then you mix that shit up like crazy.
So
God.
you literally just added cheese to your scrambled eggs. But can I back up?
It's different than like putting sprinkled shredded cheddar bullshit in it. It is so different.
But
so different.
But can I? Yeah, no.
Guys, we've now gotten to the point where the audience is apologizing to Noah, our producer, on our behalf.
Sorry. So here's the thing. What amazes me?
I want that clip
Liz,
from LinkedIn. No,
Liz,
send it to me right
Liz,
after.
I will. Liz, you want to see Max's head explode? Max, I'm surprised you got all of the way through that, and you didn't give me.
Hold on, George.
No.
I don't want to lose a friendship with you right now.
I'm just
want to watch someone lose a friendship. Do it.
Just be careful.
I can't believe
this is going to be a problem if you tell me you do some
Max, let it happen.
stuff with your eggs, bro.
I can't believe you got all the way through your scrambled egg tutorial, and you didn't add any milk to your eggs while you were whipping it.
You cannot add milk to your eggs, George. Are you crazy?
I told you his head would explode.
Wait, you're with me right now, right? You don't actually put milk
He is the
in
man
your
who does
eggs,
pickle and
dude.
peanut butter sandwiches, Max. Let's think about who we're talking to.
It makes it fluffier.
No, it doesn't, dude. You're not. No, you're not telling me that. I'm gonna have to make you eggs at inbound.
I'm down with that.
Bring a hot plate to
I'm
Club
down with
Inbound. Let's do a live demonstration and really show the people at HubSpot why we should be allowed to have a live show next year.
Which-
Your milk?
Which, speaking of inbound, by the way, you're
That
probably
is
listening
some
to
full
some
questions as property, George. That is like, don't.
So hang on. Speaking of inbound, you're probably listening to this on Monday.
If they're still
If you're-
listening.
if you're still listening. If you're listening to this on Monday, just know that this coming Tuesday, the 27th, session registration opens. So make sure that you're ready on Tuesday to get those sessions. And don't forget to come see mine about AI. And also on Friday, we do Max's
And watch that, knowing in the back of your head that this motherfucker puts milk in his eggs. So take it with a grain of salt and put that grain of salt in your eggs first before you mix it. Not milk, dude.
So speaking of milk and eggs, what are your favorite ways you can use HubSpot to keep your HubSpot data clean?
I'll let you go first.
I think he needs Jesus. Why don't you start, George?
God.
Well,
Because I know
first
you
of
have
all,
two tools you like.
yeah.
This
So
is
there's
off the rails.
This is what my job is, listeners. This is why I'm here.
So first
this is
of all,
a cry for help. Continue, George.
So first of all, let's go basic to a little bit more advanced. HubSpot has the deduplication tool where it contacts and companies. I can't tell you the amount of humans I've talked to, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I just ignore that." You have over 2,000 duplicate. Like, pay attention to it. Every time the email comes through, go fix it. Once you get it down, it's easier. The deduplication tool. However, next level of that is if you're like, I'm swimming in a sea of duty. Operations Hub gives you a bunch of different tools to actually keep your data and your portal clean. So everybody has a hard time, or some people, not everybody, most people have a hard time wrapping their brain around why they need to spend money on Operations Hub. My honest opinion is because when used right and you understand what it does, it saves you time and your sanity. Part of that sanity is around the cleaning of the data, restructuring of the data, make sure first names have this, make sure phone numbers are this, make sure, like, there's just so much you can do without getting too nerdy to make your data clean. The other thing is workflows in a way that it sets properties or moves things or cleans things up in a way that it should be clean. So definitely like focusing in on that. But I even go back to just old school, normal human tactics of documentation around a process for folder structures, naming conventions, and like just being a good human inside the portal with the rest of the folks that have to live there too.
Yeah. God, I'm so triggered by everything that happened before. Now,
George.
Oh God.
Just brought him back. Come on.
Yeah. Don't put me
We
back there.
literally had someone in the comments say, I'm only here out of sympathy now. So like.
So here's the thing. No one likes a big cleanup project, right? You can do just a little bit of data hygiene. You spend 1 minute a day, right? And you will slowly whittle away the stuff that you have slowly built up without noticing over time. Right?
Yeah.
And so like the one thing that I would kind of recommend anyone here is like go 2 times a week, or maybe just one little calendar event at the end of your day, right? Just give yourself a reminder. Hey, go delete a property you're not using anymore. Go delete a property that doesn't have any values in it. Go find a workflow that's just like off. It's just off and just not operating anymore. Go find a couple, just go sniff out a landing page or two. That is clone, test, clone, unpublished, delete later, right? You don't have, like, I get it. A lot of the times, a lot of the big reason why people don't deploy good data hygiene is because they go, oh, and I got all this stuff I have to clean up, but I guess it's not really having a big detrimental impact right now. And so I can just go ignore it. Right. And that's how you end up just building up all this bad shit in your portal forever and not do anything. Just give yourself just one thing to do each day, whether it's just deleting something simple, even if it doesn't seem that consequential, right? You do that enough, it'll become a habit. You'll start maybe rediscovering some of the darker, dingier parts of your portal that haven't had a lot of love in a long time, right? And you'll start to say, oh, maybe tomorrow I'll go clear out the rest of these workflows instead of just that one, or like whatever it may be, right? And you'll start discovering a lot of stuff, right? I say it's one big thing. I say the other thing too is like, don't sleep on like data formatting workflows, right? Especially with Operations Hub. Especially if you've got a lot of outside systems dumping a lot of shit into your HubSpot portal, right? It's much better to clean things up the second they get there than waiting and making it a much bigger job later on, right? So, give yourself just one little task each day, make it part of your routine. Don't feel like you have to take on these giant cleaning projects unless it's an absolute emergency. Again, and over time, your stuff will become cleaner. But then 2, try to solve those problems the moment it gets into your portal versus waiting for it to build up later. Right? That's the biggest things out. Recondo that.
I love that Nick from Fargo said, just delete something named delete this.
How do you solve a problem like Maria? Delete it.
Delete it.
Delete her.
It's telling you what it wants. It wants to be deleted.
That's really existential and dark.
Max,
Okay,
I have a present for you, by the way.
No, George, no.
At the end of the podcast, Max, I have a present for you.
All right. Hold on. George, like, I'm not taking egg advice from a dude who eats a pickle.
I said I have a present.
Thank you.
I said I have a. I said I have
pickle
a
and peanut butter
present.
sandwich is a present, George.
No, I said I have a present for you at the end of the podcast.
You know what, George? This is why Max and I have trust issues.
He's gonna send me a video of him like dumping fucking Fairlife into a bunch of eggs and
No. All right, let's talk about data hygiene.
Now George wants to stay on topic. Now George wants to stay on topic
for a minute or
just
two.
for a hot minute. No,
a couple minutes.
George, actually wrap us up here, because we started talking a bit about kind of like, Max, you started with, do a little bit here and there. But George, earlier you also talked about some daily, weekly, monthly practices, which begs the question, how often really should these hygiene checks be happening? And who should be checking?
Well, okay, so that
question.
part just is interesting because, one, if you're an organization that you have somebody who is a designated super admin for the portal, then the super admin should be checking on data quality, data hygiene. However, a smart super admin would also enable, VP of marketing, VP of sales, VP of service. It might not be VP. You get my point. Like, you can enable a team to know the things that they need to do on this. My honest opinion, I like where Max went with, like, each day do a little thing. That might not be scalable for a lot of the listeners because there's a lot they do in a day. Trust me, that is not missed on me at all. But I would say at least once a week, you're spending 30 minutes to an hour looking at a different part of HubSpot. And by the way, when I say that, if you are the type of HubSpot user now that since HubSpot enabled bookmarks, that you only have the 3 to 7 places that you go because of your bookmarks, then when I say 30 minutes to an hour, I'm saying journey to places outside of your bookmarks and see what's happening on the other side of town. Because you've literally like boxed yourself into a certain portion of HubSpot versus looking at it from a holistic standpoint. Okay. But I would say like a light 30 minutes to an hour once a week. I would say for sure like an hour to hour and a half, maybe 2 hours once a month. But this hour and a half to 2 hours is like you have found something in your previous light dive in that you know is going to take you more time. And so you've booked on the calendar focus time for workflows, or focus time for contact properties, or focus time for creating documentation to give to the rest of your team about naming conventions and file folders. Like, whatever it is, but it's that kind of thing. Now, I would say once a quarter to maybe twice a year, dependent upon how big your organization is, like a mini portal audit. And this could be you doing it. You could be hiring somebody to do it. But like, which, by the way, a new set of eyes is never a bad thing, because again, sometimes we just get blind to what we're used to being in. But, once a quarter or maybe twice a year, I would then do like a portal audit of all things, not only from a cleanup, but from even like a cleanup and strategize moving forward standpoint. That's my thoughts. Max, I'm curious what your thoughts are.
So I'm gonna give the same piece of advice not only to your run-of-the-mill HubSpot users, but also the admins, right? Because not always does like a user have the same power to clean up as much as an admin might, right? Depending on your permissions and how you do stuff and everything. If you see something, say something, right? It's very, very easy to just like overlook little goofy things happening with your data because you don't think it's going to affect you or a process or whatever, right? But like, if you're an admin and you give your users the ability to create properties and they're doing stuff, don't just assume that there is like a use for everything, right? Because they might not be thinking about it the same way you are, as someone who knows how to, or hopefully would know how to keep a HubSpot portal nice and clean, right? Ask, right? Hey, what are you doing with that? Hey, I noticed that you guys built this property, but there's nothing there. Are you planning on using it for anything, right? Or if you're someone and you stumble upon some stuff that maybe doesn't have anything to do with you, but you're like, hey, that looks kind of messy, or hey, we don't seem to be using that, or hey, this thing seems dead. Say something, right? Do your admin a favor. They can't keep an eye on everything all at once, right? If you see something, say something. And that is like sometimes the little one thing that you need to do to like, you know, head these little data hygiene issues that spiral into big, you know, snowballs off at the pass, right? So, you know, don't just like see it and go, oh, that looks kind of weird, or it looks kind of pointless or useless, or sure, they're going to use that for something. Just ask, right? And try to like find it when it's a smaller problem before it becomes into something bigger.
Yeah, watch
treat it
out
like
for the
treat it like an
snowball.
unattended backpack on the subway. If you see something, say something.
Oh,
Wow.
that's scary. I just was like, don't let it be the snowball effect. But yeah, backpack works too.
Yeah. Is that a favorite color field? No, I mean, it's a pipe bomb. Right?
Oh, gee.
You don't know.
Okay, we're canceled.
Nick in the audience, can you go ahead and apologize to Noah, our producer, again?
Yeah,
on our
just
behalf?
one more time. Sorry, no.
So I'm hearing a few things. One, if your organization doesn't have someone who owns HubSpot, whether as their whole ass job or like a buck stops here kind of responsibility, that's an area you need to address, because it's kind of like content, right? If there is no single owner where someone is accountable to their boss in one-on-ones, in performance reviews about HubSpot or what is or is not happening with it, everybody's going to be passing everything around. There's no hall monitor. Nothing's going to get done, right? So there's that piece of it. The other piece I'm hearing is it's kind of like when you have a house, right? You don't just fling shit everywhere. You don't just throw your dishes in the sink until that one time a week or a month when you're actually cleaning stuff up. Clean a plate.
Is this why my wife yells at me?
I mean,
Yo, Liz, you're getting hella personal right now.
You might wonder, is this from yesterday or today? Let's not ask.
Just for the listeners, Liz just held up a bowl and a spoon into shot of the camera. So that's, oh my God.
It was delicious. I will not confirm if it was delicious today or yesterday. But anyway, what I'm hearing is that if you're leaving it to the bare minimum touch points and you're just acting like a complete ding dong about your data the whole time, you're always going to continue to create problems for yourself. So it's about building healthy data hygiene habits, right? You don't wash your hands once a month, guys. You wash them every time you go to the bathroom. You don't brush your teeth once a week. You brush them Max, let's not.
Yeah, of
Max,
course.
let's not. Max, let's not.
Hey, Liz,
Max, let's
I
not.
agree, totally.
Fantastic. And then we have our daily, weekly, monthly rituals. Jesus, I am.
Boy, oh boy.
Oh, I'm just saying, I do those things that Liz is saying.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blacklight Max's house. That's just not something I want to do.
I'm gonna, when Noah's editing this, I'm just gonna put my ear up to the door and
honestly,
listen to how much he laughs or not.
Leave this all in. This is called being authentic, George. You want us to be whole ass humans? Here we are.
Yes, I do.
We're here. Okay. George, before we wrap this conversation up, I am curious if you have any favorite non-HubSpot tools that you like to bring into the mix, or any other kind of softer strategies that you like to involve in terms of HubSpot data hygiene.
Well, I think in a couple episodes ago, we talked about Deduply, which people could maybe check out if they don't have Operations Hub or want to do something different. Honestly, as soon as you said out of HubSpot, I rushed to like mindset, right? Like, how do you invoke a mindset around something once
with
you have
seance candles?
Yeah. Well, once you have the mindset invoked in your organization, how do you give them the best practices to follow? Like, so like there's a framework that you can kind of start to think about, like, well, what's our methodology on data and what we use data for? What's the mindset that we need everybody in the organization to have? And once they've figured that out, what are the best practices that we need them to do on a daily basis to help us potentially do less of what we've actually said super admins or leaders of the departments will need to do to keep the portal organized. So I think a little bit of this, it goes to like the people process platform conversation. Outside of HubSpot, a lot of this is about the people. To be honest with you, a lot about this is the process. And only today we've kind of been talking about platform and what you can do inside the platform. And that's only 1/3 of the conversation that needs to be happening inside of organizations.
Maxie, are you okay?
Yeah. Wait, well, I mean, I think I was going to just mention InCycle's another cool one if you want to do some.
There we go.
I think if you want to be able to like do your own like contact deduplication off of like different properties or something like that. Like, I don't know, that might be, we're talking other tools. I think another one that comes to mind is Supered, right? I think Supered's really cool because you can add in a whole lot of extra context, like this like context layer, like over your CRM. So like sometimes the reason why you have bad data is because people don't understand how to use it or like why they input it, right? Or they have a bad process in place, right? And like Supered's a really neat tool, not only for HubSpot, but for a bunch of other things that can provide like business level context that's unique to that business on top of the systems that you're using, right? So, I mean, that's also a really cool one too that people should check out.
George, okay,
Yeah.
You and me, bud.
Yeah.
So I'm about to hand over the reins to the podcast to you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I want you to understand that Max's sanity is in your hands with whatever is about to happen.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to take us out by reminding our listeners of the key takeaways you'd like for them to, take away from this conversation. But
George,
I also
you be
understand,
careful.
you have a surprise.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna say, Liz, Liz is going to be taking a step back from the mic.
yeah.
Whatever happens next, not my fault.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. So first of all, listeners, the actual actionable takeaways is if you don't have documentation that you're educating your team with around data hygiene, data management, naming conventions, folder structures, all of that, create that and then have an internal workshop where you're training everybody on that. If you don't have a rhythm, a rhyme to what you're looking at inside the portal, you need to go ahead and set up a rhythm and rhyme. Schedule the time weekly, monthly, and then quarterly or twice a year to do the things that we talked about. And also, I would say this, have a little grace and empathy on yourself. Like there was a visceral response when we started this podcast and Max opened his portal and it was like an oh crap moment. You got to be easy on yourself when you see those things and just realize, just like life, data hygiene inside of a HubSpot portal is going to be a journey. But if you take a step each and every day and make it 1% better, then you're going to end up in a good place, just like you can as doing that as a human. Now, Max, my present to you, my friend, is I realized another way that I understand that I grew up poor. Because I went over to ChatGPT and I said, what's the best way to create scrambled eggs with or without milk? And here's what it told me. And I'm going to do with milk first. Okay. It says this. No, just hang on. I said this is a present. It says texture. By the way, it breaks it down to texture, volume, and flavor. Okay. So with milk, adding milk makes the eggs fluffier and slightly less dense. However, it can also make them a bit watery or rubbery if too much is added. Volume, the milk stretches the eggs. And when I read that, I go, this is why my parents added milk to eggs, because we would have more with less, making them appear larger, which can be useful when cooking for multiple people. The eggs, by the way, flavor can taste milder because the milk dilutes the natural richness of the eggs. Okay. So Max, this part right here is my present to you. Without milk, scrambled eggs cooked without milk tend to be creamier and more custard-like because they allow the egg's natural richness to shine through. The flavor, the egg flavor is more pronounced and pure since there's no dilution from milk. It's easier to control the cooking process and achieve a desired consistency of soft, creamy, and firm. For a rich, creamy texture, most chefs recommend cooking scrambled eggs without milk. Instead, focus on low heat, frequent stirring, and patience for the best results.
Yes.